What was the epiphany of you being so driven with money, it sounds like, to changing? And was it long? Was it short? Was it in a minute? What was it?
It was short, and it was 4 years ago, October 1st of 2017. I was at the Route 91 Music Festival when Jason Aldean was playing. So I was there with a friend of mine at the mass shooting.
Wow.
Holy shit.
That was it. That was the thing that changed everything for me.
And where were you exactly? Because obviously, like some people can contextualize knowing the space, but also like everybody saw it on the news. Where exactly were you when that took place?
So we were at the side stage. That was the side closest to where he was shooting from. We were between that side stage and the tour buses. So he was basically shooting. I mean, the tour buses got hit and shooting into the infield. And so we were taking cover behind the tour buses. There were probably 70 or 80 of us that were huddled as close as we could be to the tour buses because we didn't really know what was going on. We didn't know if it was one person, 50, if they were coming into the grounds to, like, if it's a terrorist attack. We had no information.
And family was not there?
No, it's just me and a friend of mine.
Did you know right away what was going on, like as yourself?
No, and we were actually walking towards the fire, as it turned out, and it sounded like fireworks were going off. So my initial reaction was, what the fuck? I can't hear. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been done before on this.
Okay. I figured with Khalil on here.
Yeah.
I can't hear the song. There's fireworks going off. And then it happened again, and it sounded like a power line had, snapped and was...
So it was loud enough to go over the music.
Oh yeah. You heard it. It was pretty intense. And then my buddy and I just naturally kind of gravitated to where people were gathering, and we huddled down, and then someone, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes in, was like, there's a shooter, take cover, get as close as you can to the bus, don't stand up. And then, maybe 3-4 minutes later, someone had gotten hit, and there was someone who had some military training. He said, look, this is the types of rounds that are being shot. If you get hit, you'll be okay as long as it's not in one of your vitals. So don't panic.
Oh yeah, that's real. That's real.
It was actually somewhat reassuring.
Yeah, but that's like smart that he said that to you guys.
Sure, but normal people who have not been in a firefighter probably like it's still absolutely terrifying.
It is, and so it's interesting. And I wouldn't say like I'm this dude who's like super courageous in the face of something like this. But I just got quiet and paid attention and listened to, one or two of the people that were giving instructions. And in that moment, and I wasn't the only one, it was very calm back there. I think what happens is your body takes over because your mind will put you in a bad place. And I think so getting reassurance that, hey, yeah, this is bad, but you will survive if you get hit. It's like, okay, that got it. But you're not even processing it. You're just in the moment. And while I was there, it was the awakening. Wow, like it could be over right now. And I wasn't scared about it being over. I wasn't sad that it may be over. I was pissed. It's like, fuck, I did it. I played, I won the game. I played by the rules. I won. And here I am. If it ends now, like I'm not fulfilled. This wasn't it.
And when you say you played the game and won, just because I'm going to fill in here, like for reference, at that time, your mind said, what did you think winning the game was?
I retired at 41. I had great friends. I had a great life. Instagram. I had a great life.
I think a lot of people think that's winning the game, which is part of why I wanted to have you on here, because there's a lot of young people listening to this thinking like, hey, if I do this, make this bundle of money, retire at this age, that like I've won and it's over. And
retiring at 41 with 3 children and a wife is not an easy feat. I mean, that's very incredible too. So I can see how you thought I won the game. So what was going through your head as this is going on?
What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And then I was pissed. I was like, this is not it. And again, I wasn't even thinking, if I get out of here, then I'm going to figure out what it is. It was something just awoken inside me. And what happened was, but I want to, before I go on, I want to address what you just said, Michael. I think it's really important for people to still go and try to do those things. I'm not saying don't try to retire at 41 or whatever the number is. Go do that and have your own experience with that. And if that works for you, great. It didn't work for me. And I think the people that I've been talking to, it doesn't work for them either. But don't take my word for it. Have your own experience and see if that fills in all that emptiness, that we feel. Because it's just another form of numbing. Whether it's, obviously booze is a very common one, and drugs. But for me, working out was that. I got so into that was my central focus. And it, honestly, I wasn't that cool to be around if you were my wife, because that was such a priority for me. So building, for me, it's like trying to be in the right relationship with all of those things has been part of my journey. As I said, something happened inside me. And for probably the next 18 months, I just started to follow the breadcrumbs of what I was curious about. And it was all leading to another form of, again, building a relationship with myself, not needing the external. Like, what would it mean if everything I needed was inside me? Because what I was reading at that point now, right? So now I'm starting to read all the books, listen to the podcasts. It's all about you carrying everything you need. And our world is largely based upon external validation, and it comes in many different forms. But I was definitely, tied to a lot of that. So could I separate from the need to have someone validate me? Could I just be okay with me? And what would that mean? And it's this whole journey that, again, that it took me 18 months until it clicked, like, oh, I'm just trying to figure out why I'm here. But again, without knowing, it was really challenging for my wife. She's like, what's kind of happening to you? And I was so intense about it, which was my way, that I dove deep into it and largely kind of shut her out. So she didn't even know what I was going through. Is he going to leave me? Like, is he cheating on me? Like, all the thoughts that are going through her mind. And I didn't have language for what was happening. And so that was a really challenging period for us, like where we almost split up because I didn't know what was going on. I knew what had been happening up until then wasn't the way. And using those old, skills of getting to the bottom of something, I was trying to figure it out. And again, it was part of my process to understand that it's all right here, available, if I can just accept myself and all those parts of myself that I talked about in the beginning. Can I just love those parts of myself, like authentically? Can I understand that in those moments, what I was feeling, how I acted, I was doing the best I could.
So right after the shooting, when you call your wife, are you expressing any of this to her, or were you just calling her and it was just, you guys are reconnecting? Like, what did that look like right after? It sounds like it took 18 months for you to realize this, but were there any little breadcrumbs that you were telling her right after this happened, or what does that look like?
None. When we got a hold of one another, again, her experience, and my mom happened to be there at the house at the time.
Oh,
that's rough.
Just how scared they were.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of that because it was me, and I was having a completely different experience, and just all the emotion they were sharing. And I didn't even know how to receive that, because here I was just like, probably in a state of shock still of like, what the fuck just happened? Like watching the news, it being the biggest massacre in US history, whatever. It was like, I was just there. Like it didn't make sense.
With a ton I can't imagine trying to process that in a short period of time, especially after getting right out of it.
Yeah. But at the same time, I was actually okay. I was with a friend and we were there for one another. And, since when I got back, I went and saw a counselor just to make sure I didn't have anything lingering. And after the third one, she's like, dude, like you're good. Like you're showing no signs of it. And I still haven't. I still, walking to the bathroom at night, I'm always wondering, like, am I going to get freaked out being in the dark? And because it was at night, like, none of that shit bothers me. But to your question, Lauren, I met somebody 2 days later. So this was on a Sunday. On a Tuesday, I was at Onnit doing an NAD IV therapy. I met a guy named Kyle Kingsbury who's deep in that work already, and I just totally clicked with him. And so for the next 8 days, I was doing this therapy. It was a big loading dose, and he was just filling me with information and resources about how to start to navigate what was starting to come up in me. This was very much just like absorbing what he was sharing with me. And I continued to do that. And I would do a 5-day silent retreat, and I would do other weekends to try to dig into this self work.
And up to this point, had you been doing anything like this kind of work?
No.
Or was it just like go to work, go to the gym, like the basic stuff?
Basic stuff. And in really that summer leading up to October 1st, we go away every summer. We're up in a golf and lake community. And there's a tendency for it to be summer camp and for it to get out of control if you don't keep your hands on the reins. And for me, that summer was particularly slippery because I was drinking more than I had before. And I was using cannabis probably on a daily basis, and really just numbing out. And when I got home, I was like, I need to get my shit together. Like, I know how to be disciplined. I know how to get back in the gym and start to find some purpose around that. So I was starting on that journey, and part of it was to do the NAD. So thankfully I had the awareness, so I wouldn't have shown up there, and maybe it would have been a much different process for me. Better or worse, I don't know. But meeting Kyle, he was like the gateway for me into this whole other world.
Of what?
Of figuring out why I'm here.
And what did those tools in your toolbox look like? Like, are we talking ayahuasca? Are we talking, it sounds like we're talking retreats. What else was
Yeah,
in
so not ayahuasca, but 3 weeks after meeting Kyle, we did an ayahuasca level mushroom ceremony, which I had done mushrooms before, but never 5 grams, and with the intention of feeling that death. And what does that mean? And what else comes into the field in that experience? And so that for me, like, opened up a whole new portal. And so meditation, breath work, cold water therapy, the kind of all those practices, being out in the sun, like just things that we all need to be doing, but I just hadn't done.